You know what? We're on to part two. Part two is, I feel, in my opinion, the most important part of the stream. The whole reason why I'm doing this whole Movember thing is because I'm a huge advocate for bettering men's mental health and bringing that ghastly suicide rate down. It's like a global rate of once a minute. You extrapolate that, that's like over 500,000 a year. That's too much. But I've noticed I was always struggling to get my point across while I was too busy playing StarCraft. So I figure I'd take one day to look up some videos that better articulate what I'm trying to say. And one in particular, and I'm going to pull up right now. Excuse me, my voice has not been in sync. Like I said, I think it's due to the change in weather. It might be because of daylight savings, throwing my biorhythm out of whack, but... Now, longtime viewers will probably remember me showing off this video, or at least the older version of this video, last year during Movember. And while there's a newer version, but the message is still there. And I feel like it perfectly encapsulates everything I'm trying to say. The poem is called Teach a Boy to Cry by SLEEVELES.
People think the deconstruction of a man is some loud, violent occurrence, this outpour of bitterness towards the world, when in reality, the deconstruction of a man is a silent film, a common surgical procedure that the world didn't know it was trained to do. The breaking of a boy is the world's quietest natural disaster. As a man, there is no such thing as being stuck between a rock and a hard place. You either use the stones at rock bottom to build a way out, or you get buried by them. Ain't nobody coming to save you. The whole world is trying to construct you into its perfect little image, and the people around you are the ones responsible for your manufactured masculinity. Some of us are going to make it through assembly, but we need to watch out for our defective counterparts, because the whole world is going to use their flaws to define all of us. Luckily, most effective product is aware of its own shortcomings and tends to destroy itself given enough time alone with its imperfections. This abridged explanation of the process is how you become a man or a monster. Everybody knows what a monster does. Everybody judges the monster. Nobody questions its creator. Some of us are manufactured to make light of our peril, with jokes, if you will. Male comedians or magicians in this way, how they take their pain and airbrush it into something laughable. Hee ha ha, joke about a failed suicide. The crowd laughs, the curtains close, the comedian drinks all the way home. A man's tears are just funny that way. How they have to be translated to be accepted. How they have to be transcribed into an art form to be worthy of observation. How you have to bleed artistically to become a worthy topic of conversation. It's funny how we can joke about a man's misery, but nobody taught the boy to cry. But they'll teach him how to fight. Nobody tucked him in at night so he doesn't sleep at night. Nobody provides protection to the protectors. Nobody provides the providers with provisions. Nobody looks after the overseer. Nobody has ever tried to guide a man that steers. Everybody judges the weak men. Nobody checks on the strong ones. Only other men seem to know how subtle a difference there is before the transition. Nobody taught the boy to cry, so he would do it at all the wrong times. In the barber chair, getting casket sharp, remembering the funeral of a failed relationship. In the grocery aisle, breaking down because he's weighed down by the tears collecting in his baggage at a soccer game. Remembering what it was like to be a boy running towards a goal. Most men will only experience unconditional love from their mothers, and some of us don't even get that. Most of us never even had appreciation or respect without conditions or hidden intentions. We don't know what it sounds like to hear, "I see you, and I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're here. You really make a difference." Yet the expectation is to constantly be displaying the strength and love that the world is so hesitant in conveying. We're expected to have a thick skin but get judged if it turns to a hard shell. The first step in being a man is ignoring the hunger, Cause yes, boy, you gonna be starving. Starved of attention, starved of affirmation, starved of love, starved of being told that you are enough. Step 2 in being a man is comfortability with replaceability. Cause you are only as good as you are useful. You are only as valuable as you are needed by others. And should there ever come a day, boy, where you fail to provide everybody with a smiling face, then do not be surprised when they say all men do is take up space. Step 3 in being a man is overcoming your fear of the fire. Cause almost everything you will ever try to build will go up in flames. Relationships, careers, hobbies, and yes, you are always to blame. Step 4 in being a man is understanding that by the time you finally get all the right answers, the questions will have already changed, and you might achieve the strength of Herculean fiction, trying to balance the weight of all these contradictions. Be a man, they say. Definition unknown. Description keep changing. We men, so empty, so irritable, so this, so that. When we get told what we are, so much we've understood that who we are ain't even up to us. The blame is always on us regardless. One guilty man's actions requires an innocent man's explanation. Otherwise, you're all guilty by gender association. There are 4 times as many male suicidal ideations because it's been hammered in our head that we're falling short of our societal expectations. I mean, just imagine being in a world of hurt for 100 different reasons during a nationwide emasculation season. There's a unique brand of sadness that follows being hated without reason. It ain't no secret why such a high percentage of us have attempted to stop breathing. As the saying goes, every failure is one step closer to the successful attempt. And there is no such thing as an attempted suicide. A man's soul dies long before his body has the chance to realize. A man with an old soul is just a boy that contemplated going ghost. For every woman that suffers the same fate, 4 men will follow her to the grave. And I tried to hide the stats from the poet because he might romanticize them. He might mistake this tragedy for a love story. He might write a poem in place of the suicide notes that were never left behind because nobody taught him otherwise. So who's gonna teach these boys to cry while they're still alive? A man with nothing to lose will view everything as something to take, and a child that isn't embraced by his village will burn the village down. And he will stare as everything that did not love him back contorts and cracks, and he will ease his way into the fire until he finally feels some warmth. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to view that again just once completely uninterrupted before I go over every little bit. Because I feel like this poem just perfectly encapsulates like why men struggle with mental health and why, in his own words, a lot of men just try to stop breathing. So let's start from the beginning again.
People think the deconstruction of a man. As a man, there is no such thing as being stuck between a rock and a hard place. You either use the stones at rock bottom to build a way out, or you get buried by them.
It's true. I'm sure many men can attest. If you're in distress, if you're in trouble, no one's coming to help you. No one's coming to save you. And if you do get saved, if you do get rescued, it is extremely lucky that you did. Because a lot of us are expected to solve our own problems, as well as everyone else's. But no one ever tries to help us.
Need to watch out for our defective counterparts because the whole world is going to use their flaws to define all of us. Luckily.
Yep. How many times have you heard someone say, all men are dogs, all men are pigs, men ain't shit, the world would be better off without men, yada yada yada. I've been hearing it constantly for the past 10 plus years. Just some variation of men suck. And after that long, it just gets tiring. It gets exhausting. It's like, how do we get to this point? How do we get to this point of like normalizing and even encouraging hatred towards men?
Most effective product is aware of its own shortcomings and tends to destroy itself given enough time alone with its imperfections. This
I think this is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of men self-check out. Because they themselves realize that they're failing to live up to society's expectations of them. They feel that they're not good enough. That nothing they do will ever measure up to everyone's expectations. To their impossible standards. And whenever someone tries to bring this up, everyone tries to point out, hey, maybe men need help with this. Maybe they can't do this alone. And then just out of the woodwork, just the most awful people you can imagine will say, like, that's their problem. They need to figure it out themselves. Maybe they should stop being bad people. Or something much harsher that I'm not going to repeat on stream. But will probably be repeated in some other videos that we're going to look at. It's like, maybe they need to realize that the problem is them. And unfortunately, that's the conclusion that some of these men reach, that yes, they are the problem. And no one's coming to help them fix the problem. And they've been struggling to fix the problem themselves, to no avail. And so they just decide to end it. Because they're at their lowest point. They try to reach out for help. And instead of being greeted with compassion or empathy, they're instead greeted with hatred and malice, just pushing them further into despair until they can't take it anymore.
It's a bridged explanation of the process is how you become a man or a monster. Everybody knows what a monster does. Everybody judges the monster. Nobody questions its creator. Some of us are manufactured.
Another point is society just tends to view men as monsters, as perpetrators, never the victims, never anything virtuous or heroic. Sometimes they're not even viewed as human. Either treated as walking ATMs or a verbal punching bag for the rest of the world. But like he says, everybody judges the monster, but nobody ever questions its creator. No one ever wonders, what made him this way? Who made them this way? And how can we stop it from happening?
To make light of our peril, with jokes if you will, male comedians or magicians in this way, how they take their pain and airbrush it into something laughable. He, ha, ha.
I'm sure a lot of men in chat can attest to this, or a lot of men watching the VOD, or possibly an edited video of this, they can attest, like, they've been told to open up more, to be more vulnerable, to show their emotions, and when they do, everyone around them is repulsed, put off, disgusted. And I'm pretty sure a lot of men out there are having the same thought that I had when I made that mistake. It's like, hold on. This whole thing was your idea. Why am I getting shit for it? And that just relates to that line he said, some of us are manufactured to make light of our peril with jokes, if you will. Like, we have to airbrush it, we have to, like, sand down the rough parts. Make it more palatable, more socially acceptable. make light of our pain so people can laugh at it instead of being disgusted at it. And unfortunately, that has the unfortunate side effect of killing us on the inside. Because unfortunately, a lot of men reach the conclusion that our problems will never be taken seriously. Either we sand down the rough edges so people can make light of it, or we just get ignored outright, or even worse, we get demonized for opening them up about our problems, and perhaps even gaslighted into believing we don't have problems, and in fact, we are the problem.
Joke about a failed suicide. The crowd laughs, the curtains close, the comedian drinks all the way home. A man's tears are just funny that way.
How many times I've seen, like, male tears printed on a mug, or photoshopped onto a mug. It went from male tears to cis male tears to incel tears to just making fun of men crying because, you know, we were never taught to cry. And that's why many of us have stopped crying. Like, I think the last time I cried was back in 2013. After that fateful night in June. I was alone, afraid, just riding my motorcycle all night. Just when I felt like I'd gotten far enough away, had a moment to myself, a moment of reprieve. I think that's when it hit me that no one was coming to save me. I was on my own. And no one was coming to rescue me. And just having that realization just hit me so hard. I just broke down and started crying. I think I cried myself to sleep. And then after that day, I just haven't been able to cry ever since. Like, no matter how close I came to crying, my brain would just do a hard reset and just go, nope, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. And then I wouldn't. It's like, wow, if you punish someone for doing something, eventually they'll just be hard-coded into never doing it again. I think that by that time in 2013, I've cried enough for 4 lifetimes. Because when I cried as a kid, and I cried a lot, I would get punished for it. I would be yelled at to stop crying. Over and over. Until eventually the tears ran out. Like, I'm being serious. The last time I cried was 2013. And I haven't cried since.
How they have to be translated to be accepted, how they have to be transcribed into an art form to be worthy of observation, how you have to bleed artistically to become a worthy topic of conversation.
Yep, as a man, you gotta turn your pain into something beautiful, into something meaningful. Otherwise, your pain will not be observed at all. Or worse, your pain will be used against you. Like, men are always being told to open up, be vulnerable, show emotion. But I guarantee every man watching this has attested to having their emotions, their vulnerabilities, weaponized against them later. And then that's a hard lesson we all learn. And then we stop We stop opening up. We stop showing our emotions. We stop being vulnerable. Because that one time we slipped up, it was scarring enough to tell us never again. Never again.
It's funny how we can joke about a man's misery, but nobody taught the boy to cry. But they'll teach him how to fight. Nobody tucked him in at night.
Yep, as boys, we're told not to cry. We're taught to fight instead. I said it before. If you're a woman, things happen to you. If you're a man, things happen because of you. And using the example of the boy, if a boy gets bullied, he's told it's because he's weak. It's because he's an easy target. It's because he's vulnerable. And what is he told to do instead? Not to tell the teacher. Not to tell his parents. Not to tell anyone. No, he's told to fight back. He's taught to turn his sadness into anger, into violence. Because that's apparently how a boy becomes a man. Boys aren't taught to cry, they're taught to fight. They're taught to fight so they'll never cry again.
So he doesn't sleep at night. Nobody provides protection to the protectors. Nobody provides the providers with provisions. Nobody looks after the overseer. Nobody has ever tried to guide a man that steers.
It's weird that, like, in the modernization of our world, we still expect men to stick to traditional roles. To be the provider, the protector, the overseer, the leader, the guide. But like he says, nobody offers protection to the protectors. Like, if a wife needs protection, she turns to her husband. If children need protection, they turn to their father. But who does the father and husband turn to when he needs protection? He's got to turn to himself. Because he's expected to be the protector, the provider. And if he doesn't know, he's got to figure it out himself. Nobody looks after men because men are too busy looking after everyone else. They got to protect everyone else. They got to provide for everyone else. They got to oversee everyone else. They got to guide everyone else. But nobody ever does the same for them.
Everybody judges the weak men. Nobody checks on the strong ones.
The whole world is just so quick to judge men they deem are weak. But like he says, no one even bothers to check on the men who the world perceives as strong. No one checks up on them to see if they're doing all right, or if they're starting to crumble under the pressure of carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. Everyone thinks they're doing all right, but in reality, they could be just hanging on by a thread. They just do a damn fine job of hiding it. Because like I said, they were told never to show weakness. Or they did show weakness one time and it came to bite them in the ass so hard, they vowed never again.
Only other men seem to know how subtle a difference there is before the transition. Nobody taught the boy to cry, so he would do it at all the wrong times. In the barber chair, getting casket sharp, remembering the funeral of a failed relationship. In the grocery aisle, breaking down because he's weighed down by the tears collecting in his baggage at a soccer game. Remembering what it was like to be a boy running towards a goal.
Life felt so simple when you were a kid. And you grow up and expected to be a man, and it feels like no one's there to show you how. You gotta figure it out yourself.
Most men will only experience unconditional love from their mothers, and some of us don't even get that.
Oh boy, that is so true. Like the old saying goes, the first time a man receives flowers is at his funeral. It really does feel like, as a man, there's no such thing as unconditional love. Except from your mom. And like he says, some of us don't even get that. I certainly didn't get that growing up. Not from my foster moms. It really does feel like, as a man, any love you get, terms and conditions apply. There will always be strings attached. You will get love, so long as you provide something in return. But make no mistake, if you stop providing that, the love will disappear too.
Most of us never even had appreciation or respect without conditions or hidden intentions. We don't know what it sounds like to hear, "I see you, and I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're here. You really make a difference."
Yeah, at best, men are treated as invisible. At worst, we're treated as a problem, a threat, a danger. Always the perpetrator, never the victim. Most of us don't get acknowledgement, like he says. "I see you, I'm proud of you, I'm glad you're here, you really make a difference." Because in reality, most of us aren't seen. And that's usually the best we can hope for. If we are seen, it's usually in a negative light. And hardly anyone ever says that they're proud of men. If we do accomplish something, it's because it's expected of us. We're expected to do it, so why bother praising us for doing what we're supposed to be doing? And if we fail in those tasks, every criticism and insult is thrown our way. And we're never told that people are glad that we're here, or that we really make a difference. It really does feel like men are replaceable and disposable. Like, it doesn't matter if us specifically are here. Like, any man will do.
Yet the expectation is to constantly be displaying the strength and love that the world is so hesitant in conveying. We're expected to have a thick skin but get judged if it turns to a hard shell.
How many times have we been told, grow thicker skin, man up, don't be a P word, don't be a crybaby, man up, be a man, suck it up, grow thicker skin. And if we just get tired of it all, we just close everyone off, and then everyone complains that we're just emotionally distant, we're emotionally unavailable, we're cold-hearted, we're closed off. We're too silent, we're too quiet, we're too much of this, too much of that. We're expected to give, and provide. We're expected to solve all the world's problems while ignoring our own.
First step in being a man is ignoring the hunger. Cause yes, boy, you gonna be starving. Starved of attention, starved of affirmation, starved of love, starved of being told that you are enough. Step 2.
I bet any man listening to this can remember like the exact year, last time they received a compliment, what the compliment was. Because that's how rare it is for men to get compliments. I think I read somewhere is like women are so used to compliments that an insult sticks out to them, whereas for men are so used to insults that a compliment sticks out to them. Like, the only time a woman my age was ever nice to me prior to 2020 was a stripper. I still remember her telling me that my hair was nice to touch. Fortunately, post 2020, things have gotten a little better, but not by much. We are definitely not told that we are enough. We're always told we're not good enough, not tall enough, not handsome enough, not muscular enough, not rich enough, not this, not that, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, just decades of that, it wears down on a guy. And as a man, you're going to be starving for attention, starving of affirmation, starved of love, starved of being told that you are enough.
Being a man is comfortability with replaceability, because you are only as good as you are useful. You are only as valuable as you are needed by others. And should there ever come a day, boy, where you fail to provide everybody with a smiling face, then do not be surprised when they say all men do is take up space. Step 3 in being a man was over.
Like I said before, men as a whole feel like they're disposable and replaceable. Just harken back to any emergency in any TV show or movie, and I can vividly remember women and children first. And like he says, it really does feel like we're only as good as we are useful. As long as we provide something. As long as we care, as long as we provide, as long as we bring home the money. As soon as we fall short of any of that, all the complaints will come in. Like, men are useless. Men don't do anything. Do we really need men? Like those witches on The View cackling that they don't need men.
Becoming your fear of the fire, because almost everything you will ever try to build will go up in flames. Relationships, careers, hobbies, and yes, you are always to blame. Step
So something really cold about that. It's like, not only do you have to overcome your fear of the fire because everything you love will go in flames, you also have to overcome your fear of the fire because you're expected to rush into the flames in a case of emergency to be a hero and save the day. And if you are scared of the fire, boy oh boy, will you be judged for it, and you will be judged harshly for it. And everything you try to build up will eventually crumble to dust. Relationships, careers, hobbies, and like you said, the world will blame you for it. If your relationship fails, it's your fault. If you're going nowhere with your career, it's your fault. If your business fails, it's your fault. If you can't turn your hobby into something profitable, guess what? It's your fault. Like I said earlier, if you're a man, things happen because of you.
In being a man is understanding that by the time you finally get all the right answers, the questions will have already changed, and you might achieve the strength of Herculean fiction, trying to balance the weight of all these contradictions. Be a man, they say. Definition unknown. Description keep changing. We men.
Be a man. Definition unknown. Description keeps changing. Seems like answers are always changing. No one seems to be able to agree on what being a man really is. And us men are just struggling to figure it out. What's the right answer? What's the wrong answer? And if we do find the answers, do they match up with the questions, or did the questions change?
So empty, so irritable, so this, so that. When we get told what we are, so much we've understood that who we are ain't even up to us. The blame is always on us regardless. One guilty man's actions requires an innocent man's explanation. Otherwise, you're all guilty by gender association.
Any other group this would happen to. People would be outraged. One X's actions doesn't condemn all X. Unless they're men. If a man does a bad thing, then all men are guilty by association. I'm so sick of that. And if you try to speak up against it, if you try to say not all men, everyone treats that as a self-report. It's so infuriating. If you try to point that out, you get called an incel or a pick-me, depending on your gender. And if you don't openly oppose, like, a bad man's actions, then that must mean you secretly approve of them, and then you're also bad. It's like, there's no winning. There's no winning at all.
There are 4 times as many male suicidal ideations because it's been hammered in our head that we're falling short of our societal expectations. I mean, just imagine being in a world of hurt for 100 different reasons during a nationwide emasculation season. There's a unique brand of sadness that follows being hated without reason. It ain't no secret why such a high percentage of us have attempted to stop breathing. As the saying goes, every failure is one step closer to the successful attempt.
Yeah, it's like what? Over 30% of attempted self-checkout? But like I said before, the actual success rate is much, much higher. Like, people will argue that women try to self-checkout more. And that's true. But let's not ignore the fact that a lot more men are actually successful in checking themselves out. But they tend to gloss over that. And men will never try to, like, make a big show of it. They'll just do it. They'll never announce to the world that they're going to check themselves out. They'll just do it.
And there is no such thing as an attempted suicide. A man's soul dies long before his body has the chance to realize. A man with an old soul is just a boy that contemplated going ghost. For every woman that suffers the same fate, 4 men will follow her to the grave. And I tried to hide the stats from the poet because he might romanticize them. He might mistake this tragedy for a love story. He might write a poem in place of the suicide notes that were never left behind because nobody taught him otherwise. So who's gonna teach these boys to cry while they're still alive? A man with nothing to lose will view everything as something to take, and a child that isn't embraced by his village will burn the village down.
Yep, it's a two-part saying. It takes a village to raise a child. And a child unloved by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. And that's why a lot of men are unconcerned if the world burns now. Because the world burning means they finally get to feel some warmth in their lives.
And he will stare as everything that did not love him back contorts and cracks. And he will ease his way into the fire until he finally feels some warmth. Thank you.
Alright, next video we're going to react to. The male loneliness epidemic. Did we fail, men? Yes. Stream over. No, just kidding. We're actually going to watch the video.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay. That's right, folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo poor men video by Shoe on Head. Yes. And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else.
It's really that simple. Just click on that red X button on the top right. You can go watch something else. But no, I am interested in seeing what she has to say. The man question.
Men are in a crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who
No one has ever cared.
who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. Not me.
Yeah, to quote that one movie, life is painful. Anyone trying to tell you otherwise is trying to sell you something.
Different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor.
Oh.
Today's sponsor is Holzkern. Holzkern is a young Austrian company that designs unique crafted watches and jewelry made from all natural materials. Their high-quality timepieces come in various designs for both men and women, making them the perfect gift for any occasion. They're a great blend of function and fashion, and overall I just think they look very classy, especially the men's watch collection. I was pretty impressed with the silver casing and blue marble dial of the Naturalist watch, which made for a great
Not gonna lie, that does look pretty good.
He especially loved the casual yet stylish appearance, making it an ideal choice to wear both at work and at home. I'm also really happy with the watch I picked out. It's made from black and white marble and features a nice black leather bracelet that just feels so comfy. They also create elegantly crafted earrings, very unique handbags, sunglasses, and necklaces, like this rose marble elevation necklace. It makes a really memorable and unique gift for a loved one. All of their products have a 24-month warranty, and ordering online is super easy,
2
with
years,
free
huh?
shipping to the US and most EU countries within 2 to 5 days. So if you want to get yourself a good quality watch and support the channel, I highly recommend checking out their store and clicking the link in the description below. Use my special code SHOE15 at checkout that will give you 15% off for all products store-wide. So go to the link down below and choose your own unique piece of nature. Thank you, Holzkern, for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, as always, for not skipping the ad.
Why are men and boys struggling?
Yeah, I guess we didn't skip the ad.
And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. According to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say.
Oh.
And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right.
Yeah, men, stop listening to that
What?
derogatory music.
What? Everyone knows I listen to Simple Gear and Common Rider music. That's hardly derogatory. In fact, the Simple Gear music is sung by women, showcasing their innermost feelings. How is that derogatory? But I digress.
Then maybe you won't be single. I don't know, I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from
Because, as we all know, the internet is a reliable source of information and no one would ever lie about anything ever.
individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori. Did I say that right?
Hikikomori. I've watched enough anime to know how it's pronounced.
I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because of things like
That's
this,
a lot.
people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and reintegrate them back into society. So basically, if you want to know America's future, look no further than Japan. A lot of people, including myself, blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, 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 buy a new microphone, and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with friends?
Usually because the shipping costs are insane. Especially if you live in Canada. So it's usually cheaper to actually go out to the store. But I realize that's not always an option for people.
When I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers.
You do not want your social interaction from Twitter. Or Twitch. Listen, if the social media platform starts with a TW, stay the hell away. I say as I'm streaming on Twitch. But anyways.
Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I could just tap, 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 Google big boob and get 2 million results? Or see my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5.
$5? That's what, like, $7.50 Canadian? No thanks.
Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI girlfriend? We're f***ed. We're so f***ed. Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. You know, we're the ones who carry the babies.
Fair
at least
point.
for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to
Jesus.
say that the commodification of love and
Let's go back to
we're
that.
the ones who carry the babies, at least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's
That is insane. Like, how men rate women. Okay, a traditional kind of bell curve. How women rate men. there's a problem here. There's a big problem here. That's like 27, 58, 81. Like over here, 81%. There is a problem here.
A little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and
it's really hard as an adult man to make friends when the whole world sees you as a threat, a danger.
men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics, the explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new...
Don't listen to Andrew Tate. I can see why some people fall into that trap, but just don't. We gotta find some, like, better alternative to Andrew Tate. But until we do, we gotta help men not fall into that pitfall.
Study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdem, leftist, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues. And the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing.
The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them for our own sake. Okay, that seems somewhat reasonable. Like, you had me in the first half of the year, then you lost me here. Just shows that you only care about men when it benefits you. Which just falls perfectly in line to what they've been taught their entire lives. You are not helping yourselves here.
Doing enough to address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had...
You could try. First step, stop treating it like a zero-sum game. Stop treating like focusing on men's issues takes away from women's issues. Stop treating things that benefit men as things that harm women. Like I said, stop treating it as zero-sum.
tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't.
The responses to these tweets and this content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful.
On Twitter.com? I don't believe it.
Me when I lie.
Oh. I'm starting to like Shu. It feels like we're on the same wavelength. The Super Mario Brothers 2 music. Oh boy, this is gonna be good. Alright. Prepare for the shitstorm.
LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then.
Alright, let's go to this. Lamau? Really? Men suffering is funny to you. Alright, skip.
Cry about it.
We don't cry about it, because when we do, this is the response.
Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then.
The problem is they were forced to grow up too soon. Like, the solution to the problem is not continuing the problem. Do you see the conundrum here?
Men considered being smarter?
Yes! Yes, they have. You can't logic yourself out of depression. Trust me, I've tried.
I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem.
Trust me, if it was a personal problem, we would have fixed it by now. But the fact that we can't fix it means we're reaching out to people, and when we reach out to people, we get slapped away. And people wonder why men self-check out so much.
Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then.
Imagine being at the lowest point in your life, being desperate for any kind of help. And when you do reach out for help, you're told it's because you're a bad person, it's your fault, and you deserve whatever misery comes your way.
I'm so fucking tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem.
Because it is a huge societal problem. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the f*** up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over?
See, this is what I've been mentioning earlier. Men are treated at best invisible and at worst as predators, dangers, threats, etc. There's no winning.
The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, it's them.
The problem is your messaging, if that's your response. The lack of self-awareness.
Literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence.
You did not just say that. Holy fucking shit.
By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know.
I don't know why you self-reported, but okay.
Know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognized most of the sort that look like me are the problem.
She's not gonna fuck you, bro.
I may be hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice?
It's because you assume we can't do the bare minimum.
What advice? Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice.
Imagine suffering from depression and being on the verge of self-checkout. And people tell you, don't be an R-word! I can't.
Advice? Help, I have no friends or community. I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being. It's not hard. Is brain dead advice?
Yes, because we're already doing that, and it's not working.
Brain dead advice like get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like
kids, don't be racist.
Incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be,
thank you, Shu.
Become a liberal. Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. It's like men supports men's rights stuff because they benefit from it, just like how women who support women's rights movement benefit from that.
Saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no.
Once again, we sync up.
No f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks.
Again, I repeat myself. She's not gonna fuck you, bro.
Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me. Just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better. I promise.
If that were really the solution, we wouldn't still be in this mess. Trust me. Millions of men have tried to do this. It doesn't provide a permanent fix. Trust me. Source, trust me, bro.
Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of you. It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak. When one side...
Post-nut clarity only lasts so long. And you gotta be careful of not developing a porn addiction. AI Batman would be disappointed in you.
Is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement. And the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket?
They are. At a rate of once a minute. worldwide. I repeat myself, that extrapolates to over 500,000 a year. That is a crisis. It's more than some kind of social justice issue. It is a crisis.
Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue. Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it.
I had no one say in this.
We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created.
I didn't create the problem.
Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves.
We've been trying. It's not working. That's why we're reaching out for help. And they wonder why men are just so emotionally distant most of the time.
Men created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps.
Literally, if it were any other group, society would be tripping over themselves to fix the problem. But when it comes to men, figure that shit out yourselves, pull yourselves up by your ball sacks, yada yada yada.
This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These
yes, little Jimmy in kindergarten created the patriarchy, okay.
people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild.
I just said that.
Sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro.
Don't do that. Do not do that. They will weaponize it against you.
And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared to...
Yep. I've heard many horror stories of men whose wives left them because they cried very justifiably, like at a funeral of a loved one, or their dog died, or their friend was in a near-fatal accident or something. And then the women in their lives just lost all respect for them and fell out of love with them and blah, blah, blah. And one messy divorce later, they're out on the streets.
Be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this, fellas?
Mm-hmm.
Is it woke to open up to your fellow men and discuss history? Men are...
No, it's not. That's called male bonding. It doesn't even have to be discussing history. It could be just like playing card games or watching sports or playing video games together. Or hanging out together in male spaces. Oh wait, they got rid of all those.
Socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise?
Well, yes, because if we behave any other way, we are shunned by society. If we are weak, if we are quiet, if we are submissive, if we are emotional, everyone shuns us.
Surprised that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomenon. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of like gender nonconformity, femboys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah 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 blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s. But social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened recently. Oh my god, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them.
I like how all these people just equate being lonely to we want sex. That's only part of the equation.
So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity.
Hi, Prisma.
Boo-hoo, you're lonely and have no friends and are suicidal, wah. Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing. People are working harder and longer while wages have been stagnant. Men have been dropping out of college like flies. And what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high suicide rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy level
Once a minute globally. I'll repeat that as much as I need to.
does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases. And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left is enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man
I have very little of the money, and I don't do any of the assaulting and the murdering. I don't know what this guy is on about.
in America isn't Jeff Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay?
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They
I'm living in a house that's not mine. I don't have a lot of money. I have a car that's breaking down. I have a full-time job that kind of covers all my expenses. And this guy thinks even that's too much.
want it to stay that way because it suits them. Because of the stuff, telling people they're special and deserve all the nice shit that they have, that's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is
I'm barely getting by and he wants me to have less? Yeah. Yeah, no thanks. And for the record, I have never been told I was special. Not once.
when you don't have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a 65-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent? The right is saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will have free speech. You will own things, and you will be happy. And the left is like,
they like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit to help any of this. But the right is, at least rhetorically, offering men something other than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men, because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I I would not believe you because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But
I never understood how pick-me is an insult. Just saying.
lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better than...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this lefty pro-men content, it's always framed around how do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics. How do we make...
Step 1. Treat them as people, not as soldiers in your little political game. That's step 1. You failed step 1.
the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from moving to Andrew Tate? Instead of just, how do we help men? And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as political fodder. Disposable soldiers.
Yes! I just said that.
Culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good! Finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh.
They had us in the first half. Not gonna lie.
Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just, like, evolved overnight, from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so
Yep. Welcome to being a man.
that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man.
You had me there, and then you just had to throw cis men under the bus. Welcome to being a man.
And here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even
She knows about the yellow pillow.
when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem because, first of all, they're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately. Men are natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding, but the fact
That might explain a little bit about VTuber culture.
is a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect
That'd be nice.
and take care of and provide for.
That'd be
Men are
nice too.
lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose.
Quote of the video. Men will also walk backwards, barefoot, into the gates of hell for a purpose.
But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No, not
Everybody's homeboy, Jesus.
him.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the
No,
most
not him,
beautiful
not him.
and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems, but he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about them for years, and even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question.
But I do that already.
Why do you think male loneliness has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video. Maybe treat men's issues seriously and not respond with so much hostility. You know, that's step one. You guys are failing step one. We're all just people on a floating rock paying taxes to pedophiles at the end of the day. Yeah. Wait, I thought I turned autoplay off. Ow. I did turn autoplay off, so why did autoplay? Anyways. So yeah, that's like 2 out of 3 videos talking about the things I've been trying to talk about all month. Better articulated than me, because I can't play StarCraft and talk about men's issues at the same time. Well, I can, but not as effectively. But apparently there's been like a follow-up video to this, and it's the next video on the tab. And oh boy, men deserve to be lonely. Responding to backlash over the male loneliness epidemic. Oh boy. Grab your popcorn, chat. Oh wow, some of these comments are already just... If you guys are unaware, my last video was the one I've been working on for a while called the Male Loneliness Epidemic. If you haven't watched that video, please go watch it first before you watch this one, so this all makes a lot more sense, and then come back to this one. Link in the description. Now, although there was a lot of support for this video, there was also a lot of hate. A lot. Wow, a video that is in support of men's problems and in support of solving said problems, receiving massive backlash? No way! On the internet? Unthinkable. Of hate. In fact, the most hate that I've probably ever received on a video ever, and if you're familiar with the content I make on this channel, that should be shocking. From angry femcells calling me ugly to angry incels saying I'm a grifter who only wants to make money or something. Ridiculous. So before we get into those extremely untrue criticisms, let's get into today's sponsor. The irony. Hey, get that bag, Shu. Today's sponsor is Ridge Wallet. Ridge Wallets are high-quality, minimalist wallets that can hold up to 12 cards, plus extra room for all that cash you don't have. They're made with RFID blocking technology, which protects you from Shu knows her audience, ensuring that you have the perfect blend of style and security. Their products come in over 30 different colors and styles, including carbon fiber, gunmetal, and matte olive. I'm still on my Barbie arc, so my personal favorite is the flamingo pink. They also offer matching key cases that are sleek, durable, and keep your keys from jingling. So you can instead get your jingling key entertainment from Shoe on Head videos, of course. Ridge has over 50,000 5-star reviews, and they're so confident that you'll love their product that you can try them out for 99 days, and if you don't like them, you can return them for a complete refund. They're also currently running a giveaway. You can enter to win a new Ford Bronco or $75,000. Wait, what? I'm pretty sure that enter this. So head over to ridge.com/shoe or click the link down below and enter code SHOE at checkout to get 10% off your purchase, as well as 10 bonus entries to the giveaway. Big thanks to Ridge for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. You didn't skip the ad, right? I can always No, we didn't. Really count on you for not skipping the ad. Right? Now let's get back to the video. Men are lacking purpose, and a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of truth to what you're saying there and in the whole video, which is worth watching. That video has 1.5 million views in just the last week. Thanks, Matt Walsh. You're my greatest ally. My male loneliness video was the fastest growing video on my channel to date. And there is a reason for that. It resonated with a lot of people. I got hundreds and hundreds of comments every single day by men venting in my comments section, feeling like for once
Like, let's look at some of these. I don't even want a bunch of women or sex. At this point, I just want to be seen and heard. I always feel like I need to provide for others, but when I need a shoulder to cry on, I'm on my own. Oh, the worst feeling in the world is when you're taught to push through and bear your emotions all your life, and then to be laughed at or told to be a man when you do finally open up emotionally. Again, I repeat myself. Showing your emotions as a man will be weaponized against you later down the road. I'm usually ignored by the people close to me. I feel devalue. No one cares what I have to say. It always feels like people treat me like I'm an idiot. I don't use social media or dating apps or anything because it's horrid. The few friends I have either don't want to hang out or can't, mainly because one is in the military. I've honestly lost all care. I don't want to go to college. I work at a crappy job. I work out at the gym because it makes the anger go away. Listening to YouTube videos while playing video games is a great way to ignore your loneliness. I don't think that's sustainable, though.
Hurt.
Loneliness is like a default state at this point. I don't even know what I'm supposed to feel like normally.
And that they were...
Loneliness is not hard to deal with if you don't know what real happiness feels like anymore. Everything just goes numb.
In a place...
I do not care about sleeping with anyone. I just don't want to be alone. I don't even care if I'm in a relationship or not. I just want a friend who can be there when I'm struggling.
Where they...
I'm autistic, and so I have trouble socializing. The friends I did have years ago moved away and have grown up, while I'm stuck in my boring, dying suburban town. People I know are starting to get married, and I don't know if I can handle this any longer. Thanks for making this video.
They could talk.
When you ask yourself, why am I not putting an end to my suffering? And the only argument is, it would make my mother sad. It doesn't feel good, bros. I know way too many people who share that same sentiment. That the only reason they haven't checked themselves out yet is that it would make my mother sad. And if you're at that point, it's pretty fucking grim.
It was simultaneously the most heartwarming and heartbreaking thing I've ever seen. And this discussion blew up so much that it eventually reached TikTok.
So apparently there's a male loneliness epidemic right now.
Is this the consequences of your own actions?
These aren't our actions.
Men get recognized for the useless things that they are in society. And what do men do? Oh my god, I'm lonely!
Is there a male loneliness epidemic right now, or are more and more women just progressively realizing that there's a lot better things to do in life than be stuck with a toxic, insecure man?
I don't think we're in the middle of a male loneliness epidemic. We're in the middle of a mass female awakening.
You're just reaping the consequences of your terrible upbringing, your own actions.
Some men are lonely.
I'm pretty sure my terrible upbringing was the fault of my terrible foster parents, not me. Thankfully, I have the old man now. He looks after me. He sets me straight. But the point stands.
Because y'all are fucking creeps.
Y'all deserve to be lonely. Every single one of them. This is their fault. Fuck them.
Imagine being depressed and suicidal, feeling lonely and isolated, and being told it's your fault. And women claim to be the empathetic gender.
Men's loneliness epidemic that's going on, that sounds like it really sucks. Just wondering if they've considered smiling more.
Wow, that's a really funny...
We have. And when we do, we're called creepy, or unnerving, or weird. So we don't do it. And then we get told we're cold, distant, emotionally closed off. There's no winning.
Joke. I've never heard that before.
Have the men just tried smiling a little bit more?
You know, I'd recommend smiling more.
Have they tried smiling more?
Have you thought about smiling more?
Maybe they should smile more.
Maybe they should try to smile more.
Have they tried smiling more?
That's awful. Have they tried smiling?
Is this why people think women aren't funny?
Yes.
Bleak. Now, TikTok isn't the only
Yes.
place where this insanity happened. The thumbnail of my video went viral on Twitter, which led to some of the most funniest and unhinged reactions. So we are going to go through some of these and talk about them, as well as some of the angry comments I got from the manosphere. Let's jump into it. Male only.
Aw, it's not Super Mario Bros. 2 music anymore. I miss that music. Da 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 da.
Is not real and not valid.
We're off to a great start. Being gaslighted into thinking not only do we not have a problem, but we are in fact the problem.
Men are lonely because they are terrible people. Why the f should anyone have empathy for men? Men were born bad.
You should have empathy for men because they're human. Just like you. It's not that hard.
Men are subhuman, and their loneliness can't be cured because they can't relate to actual human beings. Most men are born useless, and are meant to die alone. Nah, man.
Into the ocean with you! No excuse, into the ocean with you! You are just actually a bad person. If you actually say something like that.
Higher, actually. These men are 100% the most misogynistic demons on the planet and deserve every bit of loneliness they feel. LOL. You don't understand the pleasure it gives me to see these men crying and depressed. Imagine losing in the world that is literally built for you. This is an insane question to ask considering how society continues to fail women and girls at every turn. Crazy how men's well-being is considered a communal responsibility, but women's well-being isn't even considered. Oh, how delightful! A tweet from Earth 2! I'm so tired of the idea that we must have infinite empathy for men's loneliness while women are sexualized from fucking birth. We are assaulted, harassed, raped, and killed for something we didn't choose to be. But boo-hoo, the poor men and their inability to make friends. You know we can talk about multiple things at the same time, right? Also, it's deranged.
Being concerned for males' problems does not take away from women's problems.
To say that society doesn't care about women's sexual assault. We have domestic violence shelters that.
Yes. You have like hundreds of women's shelters and 0 men's shelters. And the one time someone tried to make a men's shelter, he received so much backlash and he ran out of money because the government wouldn't want to help him that he took his own life. Therefore, proving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we need something like this for men.
We can go to. Men don't. Men being assaulted by women, men being raped, is all played off as a joke. When a little boy...
Yes. Male on female violence, treated seriously as it should be. Female on male violence, treated as a joke. Everyone laughs at the guy.
Is molested by an older woman, it's seen as cool and hot. Society is fucked up all around. It's not a competition. It is not a zero-sum game. My video can exist alongside your advocacy for women's rights. As long as you're not saying dumb fucking shit, I will stay out of your way. I don't give a fuck about male loneliness. Like, bro, if you can't meet a girl, just dial up the queer homie.
Like, decades ago, they were like, no one chooses to be gay. And now they're like, just be gay.
And hook up like a normal person. God. If men are lonely on an epidemic scale, why don't they just cuddle and make out with each other? Why don't they just befriend and date each other? Problem solved. I love this advice. Just be gay. Simply become gay. Are you a lonely man? Are you a fucking loser? Consider sucking dick. Tell me why I as a...
Yes, because that's going to solve the problem. Just be gay. Just like, if it were that easy, I would just snap my fingers and be gay and probably solve this problem. But no, it's not. You can't choose to be gay. You can't choose to be straight.
Queer woman should take time out of my day to care about men and their issues. Quickly. I'm not disabled. Why should I care about disabled people? Why
Exactly.
care about unions or workers' rights when I'm self-employed? If I only cared about causes that only affected me, I wouldn't even have a YouTube channel. I mean, yes, you don't have to care. You don't have to care about everything. But it doesn't affect me, so why should I care is just a terrible reason not to care. There's no such thing as misandry, just women who have had bad experiences with men and have woken up. There's no
Imagine if you flipped the script on that. You would be tarred and feathered for saying that.
such thing as racism, just white people who have had bad experiences with black people.
Exactly.
That's you. That's what you sound like. Can't stand this sort of pathetic pity party. We live in a time of abject plenty compared to any other time in history. Yeah, stop being depressed. You have a bunch of cheap plastic shit from China. Line goes up, world more gooder. Male loneliness epidemic, and it's just them not being able to get laid. Like, we really don't give a fuck. I love how this is always the go-to when it comes to this conversation. Oh no, the men aren't getting laid. But if you, like, actually talk to some of these guys, like, even if you talk to some of these incels, the ones who, like, don't hate women, they're gonna tell you that it's not really about sex. It's about companionship. It's about friendship. It's about having a girlfriend, a wife, a family. And a lot of these people...
Yes. Sex does play a part in it, but it's not the whole thing.
People were like, well, you know, that's why we should just legalize sex work, and... honestly, I don't think that's a solution. Maybe it's like a temporary one, but it's kind of like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. I don't think paying for meaningless sex with a stranger is going to solve the problem. In fact, it might make it worse over time. Instead of male loneliness epidemic.
Trust me, as someone who spent many years just drowning himself in tits and booze, it doesn't make it better. It might numb the pain, but it doesn't make it better. I too would like to be financially stable and not worry about if bills will knock me on my butt for the month. I'm like a step higher than that. Like, I am financially stable, but I do have to worry about like unexpected rainy days just knocking me on my ass.
Call it a cis male unfuckability crisis. It's just like what I said in the video. They have to add cis now because they don't want to insult trans men. Men suck! I hate them! Oh, not you! You're not a man. Yikes!
Yikes!
Bruh, when they stop killing women...
Wow! We really are on the same wavelength, huh?
I'll stop generalizing them. Maybe I'll start worrying about their loneliness when they stop unaliving and raping children and women. Yeah, lonely guys, stop raping children, and maybe you won't be so lonely. What?
Again, I repeat myself. Imagine being depressed and suicidal and isolated and lonely and people telling you, stop being a terrible human being. The absolute audacity of these people.
What's all this hubbub about male loneliness? Y'all are acting like you're oppressed when I've opened myself up to friendships and relationships with you just to get told I have sucking eyes. That is hyper specific. Not everyone is your ex-boyfriend. All of men's problems are created by themselves. How is it women's responsibility to fix them? Seriously, why is it always women's job to fix everything? Any chance...
Actually, no. Men are expected to be the problem solvers. So if a man is asking for help, you know things have gotten serious. You know things are out of his control when he's actually asked for help. Because he's desperate enough to ask for help. Because he knows when he asks for help, he usually doesn't get it. Unless it's from another man.
To blame other women she seems to always take. LMAO, you are the problem. It's you carrying water for the patriarchy and blaming women for men feeling lonely and radicalized. I find it repulsive anytime I see a woman like her do shit like this. It makes me actively turn violently against things that even I would originally think are nuanced topics. And also, yes, men are lonely. No, it's not up to women to fix that. Fuck off, Nazi bitch. Things I blamed in the video. Technology, social media, dating apps, and the commodification of love. The media, low wages, the housing crisis, social alienation, lack of community, the left not speaking to men, the feeling...
She did talk about this. Technology isolating us, social media, dating apps especially, the media portrayal of men, wages stagnating, earning less because We're not going to college because college has become a hostile environment for men. Housing crisis. We can't afford homes anymore. Social alienation because of, COVID. Lack of community, lack of male spaces, lack of connection. Left not speaking to men, left being hostile to men, men having no purpose, no family to take care of, no fulfilling job, yada yada yada. Yep, she talked all about all of this in the last video.
Of having no purpose. Things I didn't blame. Women!
She didn't. She very easily could have, but she didn't.
Now this might come as a shock to you, but not everything has to do with women. Sometimes we can talk about other things. Sometimes those other things are not women. My video was about society as a whole, and yes, that includes women. I never said it was women's responsibility. I think I mentioned women like once, and it was to say that women are also lonely, but that the media and society treats women's loneliness much differently than it treats men's loneliness.
Oh boy, does it.
Thousands of tweets and comments about how I was apparently blaming women, and how it's not women's fault. It's to the point where I'm like, is this projection? Do you think
yes.
It is your fault? But again, my video was not about you. My video
is very much projection.
Was about men. And if you want to listen to a video about women and women's problems, like I said in the original video, tune into literally anything else. Go to any college campus, turn on any TV show, watch a CIA ad. She's so embarrassing. Made an entire career out of being a pick-me. You didn't watch the video. And I'm not going to. Well, I didn't watch the video because I'd rather shoot myself than sit through a shoe video. Can someone
From spicy news to spicy content. Yep, welcome, Jack.
I'm sorry, but it was a 20-minute long video. I have ADHD, and I know some of y'all do too, but I know you mother...
I'm being called out here.
Are watching 5-hour YouTube documentaries about shit like iCarly. I know you could take time out of your busy schedule from being the most miserable people on earth and watch a 20-minute long video. Here, does this help? Now? She doesn't need to say it's women's fault for us to know exactly what she means.
Now they're just putting words in her mouth that she never said.
This is like bordering on...
Also, is that like a chick with a knife with Bakugo's hair? Seriously?
Need to say it's women's fault for us to know exactly what she means. This is like bordering on schizophrenia. Yeah, she didn't say it, but we all know she did. This is why I advocate for mental health care to be free. We need to get these some therapy. Male loneliness this, male loneliness that. Do you know how isolating it feels to almost never be able to develop genuine friendships with men because they see you as nothing more than an object for sexual conquest? I'm gonna tell you something not many people probably have told you in your life. It's not about you. I get that the friend zone is a very frustrating thing to deal with. Trust me, I know. Nothing worse than enjoying being friends with a guy, but not having a romantic attraction and having to cut him off because you don't want to lead him on or hurt him.
I think something that's not talked about often is like the reason like guys develop feelings for their female friends is because like they're so used to being treated like absolute trash by women. So that's their barometer, that's their gauge for like to see if a woman is interested in it or not. It's like, wow, this woman doesn't treat me like absolute garbage. Clearly, she must have a thing for me. Just normalize being nice to men and this problem will stop happening.
It sucks being girlfriend zoned. But coming into this conversation, basically like, woe is me, so many people want to fuck me, is a little insane. Like maybe if this discourse was about the friend zone, this would make sense. But this is like barging into a conversation full of starving people and being like, I ate too much chicken tendies, you guys, my tummy hurts.
Yeah.
Like get out of here. Women got sick of men creating a society where
Nina Kosako was right. Men are easy, just be nice to them.
women were second-class citizens, so now men are facing loneliness. Yeah, this is payback to you for not letting women vote decades ago. You personally, men failed to
I wasn't even alive back then.
the whole system for their benefit, and in the moment it starts to crumble because the oppressed class they've always subjected, women, is waking up. They start to put the blame on us, cowards and dangerous misogynists. So first of all, nobody's putting the blame on you. Nobody did that. I didn't do that. You made that up in your heads. And second of all, this system wasn't created for the average man. It was created for the rich and powerful. It benefits the rich and powerful. They have their boots on our necks, and the handmaidens are like, oh no, they look kind of sad. I'm sorry, who has their boot on your neck? All men? You know who has their boot on your neck? These satanic pedophiles in charge of our government. These soulless demonic corporations that would throw your mother into a wood chipper if it made them make an extra penny. That's who has the boot on your neck. Not Joe Schmo working 2 jobs so he doesn't get evicted. Here's some male loneliness discourse for you. Do you ever at all, even for a second, consider the problem is you? That maybe, just maybe, the reason you're lonely is that you are an awful human being, truly just awful, and that it's right that you are lonely? It's fair.
I mean, yes. I'm pretty sure they have considered that. The male self-checkout rate doesn't lie.
I mean, yeah, they probably do consider that. The suicide rate doesn't lie. Maybe if
Thank you, Shu. Thank you.
some men weren't bigots. The solution to male loneliness is literally just being a better person.
Absolute brain dead take.
I love that the implication here is that lonely people are bad people. Every lonely man is just a bigot and a racist and an Andrew Tate fan. I guess it makes it easier for them to not care about this if they paint these people as the enemy. If you dehumanize the enemy, it makes it easier to sleep at night, I suppose. Now, I started noticing a reoccurring pattern with a lot of these accounts. A lot of these accounts getting mad about or dismissing the male loneliness discourse. Many of them have OnlyFans.
They say correlation is not causation, but
This is relevant because out of everyone on Earth, why would those people be so mad about someone wanting to solve or at least bring attention to the male loneliness epidemic? This is like a crack dealer getting mad at people talking about crack addiction. This is your opinion, and this is where it belongs.
Yep.
Have a good day. I could say that, okay? I'm a YouTuber. That's far more degrading than being an OnlyFans model. It's like she's pandering to pedophiles. That makeup style is so catered to pedophiles. They're actively trying to make themselves look like kids. Ah yes, children. Notorious for wearing big fake eyelashes and 10 pounds of eyeliner. What? Can't stand this bitch and her side part. Bitches with this makeup style piss me the fuck off. They always wear that type of makeup. Looking at her makeup, I already know the type of person she is. You can just tell by her makeup. Not to be rude, but that makeup tells everything I need to know.
They can't come up with an actual argument, so they just have to attack Shu's appearance. That tells me enough.
Her makeup says everything I need to know. This is literal NPC behavior. Not watching the video, blindly spewing the exact same insults. Just, I have no argument and I must scream. They don't even know why they're mad.
No originality
for
own
in the
thought.
thumbnail of a video about men and their brains just broke. Her makeup doesn't look like ours. Her hair is styled differently than ours. Should I be extra cute in this thumbnail? Would that piss them off?
I'm not like other girls.
Why do we hate her again? Guys, why do we hate this person again? Can't form my own opinion, help. Why do we hate her? Why do all incel adjacent women look like this? When you're a woman talking about men's issues online and they can't outright call you an incel, they just call you incel adjacent, I guess. And when they're not calling you incel adjacent, they're breaking out all reliable pick me behavior. Pick me girls are so CEO of Pick Me, high priestess of Pick Me Church. So I am the CEO of Pick Me and the high priestess. Maybe this video will boost me to pick me goddess. Watch out, Pearl. I'm coming for your title. Now, I've already talked about the pick me insult in other videos, but it's just so lazy, man. I'm so tired of it. I've been hearing it for over a decade now. And yes, there are people who absolutely do fit the definition of a pick me from both genders. Men who talk about
Yeah, we say to those people, she's not gonna fuck you, bro.
about how much they hate men, women who talk about how much they hate women. But I don't hate women. My mom is a woman, my sister is a woman, my friends are women. I am a woman. I can't be women phobic. I have women friends. But the insult is just so beyond overused nowadays. Every woman who doesn't toe the current line is a pick me. It's just a way to socially ostracize other women, to make you fall in line and agree with their opinions. But it's not going to work here because I am socially retarded and borderline autistic. So you have no power here. You can't tell me what to believe. You can't change my opinions. You're not my boyfriend. I hope this bitch fails to wake up in the morning. Her terrorism still hasn't stopped. Oh my god. She's still relevant? She should have went down with her anti-feminism shtick a few years ago. I thought she would have fell off by now. If you want to know how I didn't fall off, if you want to know how I'm still relevant after 10 years, look in a mirror. You stop being cringe, I stop being relevant. Deal? Fun
Yeah!
He reached out to incel accounts for help with this video. No, I'm not kidding. Well,
Yeah. Go to the source.
yeah, it's good to go to the source and talk to the people who have experience with the subject I'm talking about.
Yes.
I'm not lonely and I'm not a man, despite what the mainstream media may say. I do not, in fact, have a penis. Do not put in the paper that I have a penis.
We scoured a video to show you, and the other day we came across this, the weirdest we've seen in a while.
The problem is Shu just affirms them instead of converting them. Converting them to what? This is exactly the thing I talked about in my video. These people don't want to actually help men. They just want to recruit them into their little political tribe. Would it be cool if everyone agreed with me politically? I was gonna...
It's like... just treat men like people instead of pawns in your little political game. That's step one. You failed step one.
say yes, but honestly that would be a little horrifying. That would be a very scary world. My goal wasn't to convert men to agree with me politically. My goal was just to bring attention to this issue and put a spotlight on it. It is cool when people tell me, oh, like, you've changed my mind on this, you've changed my mind on that. I love that. I love to see that. I was unaware that was my job. My job is to get on YouTube and say poo poo pee pee and everyone go ha 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 and give me money. But in this case it was for me to go, hey, the men are not okay, and for people to go, damn, that sucks, and give me money. PragerU is sharing Shu1Head's video now. Explain to me how she's still a leftist. I personally think it's a good thing.
If only it were that easy.
Pee pee poo hoo. There should be more people agreeing on good things, quite frankly. I feel like a lot of good things would be done in this country if more people agreed on good things. And I don't know, I think it's pretty neat that this might be the first and last time a video that talks about alienation under capitalism and says the term material conditions will be shown to a massive right-wing audience like PragerU. But hey, don't worry your little heart, this will never happen to a left-wing YouTuber you watch. The internet feminists weren't the only ones booty blasted about my video. I also rustled the jimmies of some in the manosphere. You just want more OnlyFans subscribers. You don't care about male loneliness.
I don't think Shu has an OF.
As a woman. That's why she or he is there speaking about men's issues.
It's so easy for titty streamers. Show booba, get money.
And your wallet in these current times. These women are shapeshifters. This chick is gonna hit the wall in 10 years. That's why she cares about male loneliness.
She has?
She sees many cats in the future. They want us back on the plantation, gentlemen. Hold the line.
Moving on.
I don't really understand what the conspiracy here in general is, though. Like I'm just talking about a subject I found important and interesting, like I've been doing on this channel. And these guys are like, stay strong, brothers. Don't give in to temptation. Why are we listening to women about male loneliness? Plenty of male figures discussing that.
Because when guys bring this up, the media ignores us. Sad but true. We kind of need women allies for this case.
Honestly, I'm gonna say it, SJW behavior, liberal behavior, woman behavior, to imply that I shouldn't speak or be listened to about a subject because I'm not the correct gender. Anyone can talk about anything they want. That's free speech, bitch. You don't have to listen. You can make your own video talking about the subject, Mr. Man, but you know they're just gonna call you sexist and misogynist, so you might as well just use me as a human shield. It's not that she's a woman or cares. She's the kind of person who will only talk about an issue because it's popular. Women
Has she, in her own words, been talking this for like 10 years? It wasn't popular back then. Please, let's just all work together. Is that so difficult? Apparently, yes. Sadly, it is.
suddenly want to help men, but only because it benefits them and their causes.
Well, now not only are conservative women talking about it, but also the left. This is the problem with the women that decide to come forward and speak about men's issues. They don't care about men's issues. You must ask the question. Now that they're coming around and talking about men's issues, is it to help men or to win men into their cause?
So first of all, let me just clear something up, because some of you seem a bit confused. I started talking about these subjects 10 years ago. Way back
10 years.
Before it was popular to do so. Back when I was doxxed, harassed, had angry feminists calling my job and trying to get me fired over mocking pop feminism and talking about men's issues. And a lot of these people coming at me now, telling me I'm jumping on a bandwagon, started like 2 or 3 years ago, when it was safe to do so. So with all due respect, sir,
stay out of my territory.
But in full seriousness, it is good when more people talk about this subject. I'm glad you talk about this. I'm glad there are people like the honey badgers who have been talking about this stuff for a very long time. This girl is a fake who wants every man to be a castrated beta male feminist commie like her boyfriend probably is. She takes advantage of men like this. Do not listen to her. Lefty women want to help men become good feminists who devote their lives to helping women have all the power so they can make men their servants. Basically, we need to help men destroy men. That's the only way men should be helped. We women said so. Shoe on head. Real quote, never trust a woman, even if they are saying the truth. It's so how, like, they need to convince themselves that even when a woman is showing empathy and, like, caring about this subject, that she's just, like, a lying snake in the grass. Literally just a mirror universe of these fucking femcells. It's mommy and daddy issues all the way down. Ladies, be a good mom to your sons. Fellas, be a good dad to your daughters. Try to prevent creating the most insufferable, annoying people on earth, please. I don't know if it's because I grew up with a good relationship with both of my parents or what, but this gender war shit is just so toxic, man. Men and women need each other, you know? We're yin and yang, and the yin and yang is being torn apart by miserable people who want to make you miserable as well. One of the most valid criticisms I got about this video was that I didn't offer any solutions. And honestly, that's because I don't have any. I wanted to talk about the problem, but I don't know how to solve it. A lot of YouTubers and streamers and talking heads will get up on their platform and like pretend they know the answers to everything. But the truth is, I don't. I just think that it's a step in the right direction to be like, hey men, you're struggling, but you're not a bad person. You matter. And if I could snap my fingers and cure this, I absolutely would. But at the end of the day, men are men, and man problems require man solutions. And that solution, of course, is giving me money. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm reading the comments on that video all the time, and I will read the comments on this video as well. If you see some people talking about their experiences and venting about their issues and their problems in the comments, reply to them, support them, join in on the discourse. The Shoe on Head community is a very diverse community, not like race-wise. I'm pretty sure you're all fucking white, but like politically diverse. But we
No, I'm Asian. I'm not white, I'm Asian.
We can all come together to talk about the issues that matter, and I think that's really cool, and we love to see it. And I will see you in the next video.
Alright, what is she gonna say at the very end? Wait for it. Oh, nothing. She said something at the end of the last video. Oh well. So yeah, that's well, these 3 videos really illustrate the point of like why I'm still doing this whole Movember thing.
Brilliant light and great power that can split the world in two.
And thank you for watching the video. If you want to see more content like this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell.